Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Horseback Archery podcast with me, Linda.
And me, Johan.
We have a guest today, Siem. Do you say Siem or Siem?
Siem. In Dutch we say Siem Budding.
Siem.
Yeah.
Siem, yes. We are really happy that you wanted to join us on this podcast. Really, you are the first guest, I think, from the Netherlands we have. So it's really fun that you wanted to join us. And we are so curious about you. Please, can you tell us who are Siem and how did you start this sport?
Well, I'm a 20-year-old horseback archer from the Netherlands. I'm really competitive at high level, and I give a lot of trainings every day. It's my full-time job. So I give clinics during the weekends. How I started with it was actually quite a funny story. I've always wanted to do horses. I always wanted to ride in the forest and do that type of stuff, and I always liked to shoot bows and arrows. So after a while, the normal ground archery to me it became a bit boring. It was just indoor and just 18 meters and standing still. I want to do something more. And we went to a medieval festival, and some guy was like, "Yeah, but if you want to do good archery, you have to go to Hungary. They do horseback archery there. You have to watch the videos." And then we started searching on YouTube and on Facebook, and then we found this place in Hungary where you could go trainings like Nemesi. We found a Nemesi training camp,
Yes.
and actually then we started researching it, and that's basically how it started.
So you was actually both archery guy and horseback riding guy, yeah?
Yeah, I did horse riding when I was like 5 and 6, just in the forest. But then the stable that I rode in the forest, we stopped with that, and I didn't find like normal riding around in arena so nice. So I basically quit with that for a little bit because it was a lot of money here in the Netherlands. And yeah, I want to ride in the forest. I found that fun, but just in arena not. And then I started archery because I asked my parents for a bow for Santa Claus, for Dutch Santa Claus. We have a different one, but and they said maybe it's a good idea if you do like on an archery club instead of shooting things in the backyard, which we have small backyards here, so it's probably a good idea because otherwise the neighbors
Yeah.
wouldn't be our neighbors anymore.
Well, they will always be your neighbors.
Yeah. Laying on the, yeah.
They won't be able to move.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if I see my skills at the start, probably. But if I would aim for them, they would actually survive. So yeah.
Okay, that's funny. Yeah, we have realized that most horseback archery people are have their beginning in archery or horse riding.
Yeah.
So that you are unique. You had the both before.
Indeed, yeah.
So you just realized that, wow, this is my thing when you saw it.
Yeah, I saw this sport and I was immediately like, my first thought about it, okay, this is so cool. I want to be the best I can be in this sport. I don't know why. I believe 12 at the time, and I was thinking immediately, I want to be so good at this sport that I can go to any competition and win if I don't make any mistakes. I don't know. I was 12 years old, so I have no clue why I got this idea. I'm still by far not there yet, but this was from the beginning what I wanted to do.
Really good mindset.
Thank you.
Yes. So now you only do horseback archery.
Yeah.
It's your full-time job. Yes.
Yeah. Just in the weekend, I give clinics all over the Netherlands and a little bit internationally. And then during the weeks, I train horses and do stuff with horses.
I had the question back to when you talked about you want to be the best in the sport. Did you actually think about it as a sport at the time? Or did you just see the activity and want to be the best in the activity, horseback archery?
It's difficult to say. It's a good question. I think I saw it immediately as a sport because I knew there were competitions and there was like stuff. I saw that were like people really high up in the sport. When we searched on YouTube and Facebook, you could find like this big EOGA, what is it, was at the time big. I believe the IHA was just starting up with the big competitions. It was 2017, if I recall correctly, 2016, end of 2016, beginning of 2017, I believe. And so I believe everything was starting up then. I was like, oh, there's these competitions and it's big sport. It's starting to be a big sport. And so, yeah, basically I saw it quite early on as a sport already.
Yeah, okay.
Do you have any favorite place where you go to training or competing?
For me, Hungary, the Nemesi Academy will always be special because the first time I shot an arrow from horseback was at the Nemesi Academy. Since we didn't have much in the Netherlands, we're just training once or twice every 2 months probably. And so my parents they said, okay, you'll do some ground archery with them, and then we'll take you for a vacation to Hungary where you can learn from the best of the best. And we went there for our vacation. And so we basically were there for like 3 weeks, and I trained together before there was a big competition there. I believe one of the first Grand Prix. And so I joined the training camp there. and then I shot my first arrows from horseback. So it's always a special place to me. But still, I also love going to Wojtek Osieki's place in Poland. It's always we go there every year for trainings, and it's always always a great place as well.
Yes. When you don't practice horseback archery, do you have any other sport you also do, or something other interesting?
I used to do a lot of other stuff, but now horseback archery. I used to do fencing, and I used to do like jewelry. So I made like precious stones. I carved them. But these days, the horseback archery takes so much of my life. It's just my full focus is just horses and riding. But I also really like the archery just separate as well, and also the normal riding. So it's not like it's only horseback archery. I like the two sports separate as well.
Otherwise, I think the fencing is a good complement for the balance and precision, kind of like martial art.
Definitely, I really liked it a lot. It was a really great sport, but just time-wise, it got difficult. And I didn't like getting stabbed. I was quite fast because every time it hurt when I got stabbed, so I was quick away. But yeah,
So that's a tip for your trainer when you're shooting. If you are letting the arrow too soon and not drag enough, then he can just have something to throw at you,
yes,
and
definitely.
you be more focused.
For sure, this will help. Not sure how everybody else thinks about it, but it will help.
I would guess that the trainers would line up.
I've seen some
Yeah.
people training where if you throw your bowhand away, I've seen Christoph do that. It was really fun because I used to throw my bowhand away. He put an arrow tip beneath my hand, and if I put it down, then I would stab myself. So this really helps to not put your bowhand down and these type of stuff. It was very funny.
How has your horseback archery impacted your life outside of the sport?
A lot. Yeah, just it became my full motivation. It was just for me when I saw this, it was just like my full life, and now it is. Yeah, it's what I live of. It's what I do every day. It's what I live and breathe. It's how I meet my friends. It's how I, this is my whole life. It has a huge impact on my life.
You are quite different because you are actually a left-handed shooter.
Yes.
It's not so many of you. I heard that we have some in Sweden, also left-handed, and on the hand track, it's not always fair build.
Yeah, no, it's a lot better than it was in my experience. It used to be like, okay, the hunt track is just for lefties, it's a pain. But it's really difficult now because, for example, I see at competitions now also some parts of the hunt tracks are better for me, and some parts are better for the right-handed. At some competitions where the hunt track or hunt track maker isn't that well thought about the lefties, it's a lot worse for lefties. Like for example, the people otherwise have a front shot into a curve, and otherwise we have lefties. We have a front shot away from the curve, so you turn away from the target and shoot back shot. This is really difficult, and so this type of stuff is more difficult for us. But it's getting a lot better. But still, yeah, I can see that right-handed would be much easier to be.
Yes.
Is that something you talk to the builder or the judge about when you see it?
Yeah, we always have, of course, we have a separate walks on the hunt track, like when the judge shows us the hunt track, and always when I see like something that's really unfair for lefties, I always call it out. And a lot of times it's like, oh, I didn't think about it, and either they move it and then we talk about it, or they know it's for the next time. But a lot of times, yeah, it's always good to tell the judges, I think, because if you're not lefty, you don't. It's really difficult to imagine how it is, because it's just a completely different way of going around the track.
But I remember when I first met you, you shooted with three finger and what do you say, front quiver, and now you have back quiver and Slavic, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. How it must be so difficult to change the technique so completely. Can you please tell us about it and why you did it?
Yeah, for me, I was always shot tower from bowhand and with Mediterranean draw, and then I because I didn't like the Mediterranean draw from quiver because I was always stabbing my hands. I still have like 10 scars from it. Um, so I thought as well, if I want to shoot fast on quiver, I'll just switch to thumb. So I was already quite used to shooting with different techniques and even mixing them in one competition. I believe at the time I was one of the few doing this. So I was already quite used to this, and I was already experimenting with Slavic for a while because I thought I saw with Mihai shooting well with it. I thought, okay, this is a really fast and easy way. And for me, in the beginning, I thought about it a lot to just stay with Mediterranean draw. But after a while, I got to see, if you want to shoot Mediterranean draw really fast and really accurate, especially really fast, you have to train a lot. Because I was shooting at the time, I shot high scores with Mediterranean. I was shooting like 500 arrows every day. Like I was practicing minimum 1.5 hour every day. And then it's possible to shoot really high scores. That was the time I was starting to make the jump from like mid-level to I was top 3 all the time. But then I was like, okay, I have to keep this up. And for me, after a while, with life, it got really difficult to practice every day. And then Mihai offered. Actually, it was funny because Mihai didn't have a car ride to Gaoshu Open, and he drove with us. So we picked him up at the airport, and he said, "Okay, as a gift to you for this drive, I'll give you a back quiver." And then, so this is basically how I started with the back quiver, and then I started training with it. I really saw, okay, this can offer me so much more points in the future. And I said, okay, this is worth the switch for me. So I just after Gaoshu Open, I started practicing with it, and I did like one full winter of just practicing with back quiver, and I started competing with it.
Interesting. How did it feel when you started to use the back quiver? Did it felt right straight away, or was it period you pretty much had to make yourself use it?
Yeah, for me it was a bit difficult at the beginning, and it was felt really weird because it's just a different way of loading, and your body is locked in because you lock your shoulder down a little bit. So I really in the beginning it was quite different, but I had so clear in my head the vision. Okay, this can offer me so much. I was just like, of course it's going to feel weird at the beginning because I was quite used to the Mediterranean draw. I did it a lot, and I love the style. Still love it. I still do it a lot sometimes in between just to practice it for fun. But so for me, I also had thought immediately, okay, I want to do this, like give it a try, give it my full effort. So for me, it was, yeah, it felt weird, but I got used to it quickly because I just realized it's a different feeling. And of course, I already had in 2019, Mihai came to us for like a clinic. So in this time, I already got used to the back quiver. And in between, sometimes I did it for fun. I was just experimenting with a shitty back quiver I made myself on the back. So I already, I could load with it. I was already like efficient with it, but it was just fun. It was not my shooting style.
But, Johan, you and team, you have the same technique, right?
Yeah, I when I started with thumb. The coaches they said this is the best technique, and it's what they use when they train and compete and so on. And I always felt that somewhere in my head, you take the arrows from the back. So for me, it was already mental that nah, I want to have the back quiver.
Yeah.
So I started to looking around, and I find Mihai where I could buy the back quiver. So I order it, and when it got home, I tried it on, and I said, "Ah, this is me."
Perfect.
So I pretty much felt home straight away.
Yeah, it's such a different. And if you get used to it, it's an easy feeling for me. I know it's easy to shoot this way because you just put it on and just yeah, really great to hear.
When you go to a practice and you have a trainer, uh, is it still easy for you to have like all trainer, or is it only a few that understand this technique?
For me, I think it's mostly the high level that makes it difficult to find trainers that can still help me a lot, because after all, it's such a small part you're working on when you're at high scores. But I think that any technique everybody, even people that shoot thumb or Mediterranean draw, can help you. If you're shooting with this, Christoph still helps me a lot. Wojtek can help me a lot. Anna Minkine can help me a lot because they all shoot. All three of them shoot different styles, but it's most about, I think archery is generally about these principles. There's this few things with our special shooting style that are like loading, special things, how to draw, and for example, with when you shoot thumb or especially Slavic, I think Slavic, to get good arrow flight, you have to use a little bit of katra because otherwise the arrow just goes like a snake through the air. And these type of stuff are different between techniques, but just the core elementals, the principles, will always stay the same. Even it's the same in Olympic archery. I look a lot to Olympic archery as well for my technique because Olympic archery, they have it perfected. If they, for them, it's a smaller margin where they look at technique and look at points. So I think in the end, it's all about principles, not about different details.
What trainers had the biggest impact on your development?
I did a lot of training with Christoph. Christoph was I basically so we came there a lot for vacations. I was there like so first time 3 weeks, then we came later that year also 3 weeks, and then also 3 weeks around the worlds, which was my second competition. So basically I trained a lot with Christoph and always sent when I was training, I sent videos to Christoph to see how I was training. In the beginning, I trained with Glenn Weston. He used to be he also became world champion one time in in the old World Championships in Korea, and he was a high-level horseback archer as well. I trained with through Skype with him. I did that a lot as well, but I just and after that, mostly it was just Mihai, Wojtek, Christoph. I trained with them mostly at the training camp at Gaoshu. Before the Gaoshu opened, there was this training camp with the big trainers. So I just trained with Wojtek and with Mihai, and then we came to Christoph. I turned to Christoph again. So basically, those three really helped me.
Ah, interesting. It's a good mixture.
Yeah, definitely. All of their specialties. Mihai is and was really a special horseback archer. With the Mihai's view about archery, it's completely different than anybody else's, and his quest to always look for better stuff. It was really special, and I really had a lot of his help for this. And Wojtek is really good with preparation. Wojtek really, for example, if you want to do the hunt track well, I always send every people to Wojtek. Wojtek has just such a good system for the hunt track and for getting this overview of how to ride the track, how to shoot it correctly, and also just for the raid and for tower, just especially for the raid as well. Really, just how to ride it, how to get the control, and just everything. Wojtek is really good at planning this out, and just basic technique. Wojtek is really good as well. And Christoph, of course, for the tower, just practice, 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 and just getting technique like a machine is. Christoph is a great trainer as well. So it just this balance of these all three, I think, has really formed me as a horseback archer.
Yeah, that planning must be big help. When I'm thinking about it, when I ride, it's pretty much just this is there. It should be in the target when you are
Yeah.
reaching the goal, and
In
have
the end,
a
that's
lot
all
of
it is.
fun.
But yeah,
But of course, all the planning. Where should I actually let the arrow go, and how to plan everything? I can see how that.
I think this especially comes into play on the hunt tracks. I think that's where you can make the big difference. If you can really plan the hunt tracks and really know, okay, because in beginning for me the hunt tracks were always like when I started riding it was just like a big blur. Like you go through it and then like blink of an eye later you're finished. And Wojtek has really helped me with able to to just take it one target at a time, one corner, one curve, preparing yourself, really getting this overview of the track.
It's not bad that you can keep the concentration for all that, I must say.
I think this is essential for the hunt track.
But you get your own horse now, right?
Yeah, two of them actually now.
You have two. Yeah, you was talking about it, and I was like, no, I don't know if you have one, or maybe just borrow one more. But you do have two now.
Yeah, I have two actually.
I see the pictures of your horse with the white head, and I said to Linda, "Oh, that one is so beautiful."
Yeah, thank you. I think so too.
Yeah.
I've got two. I've got one 8.5-year-old quarter horse, James. Full name is James. Where's my gun? Which I like. Um, but yeah, he's my main horse, and I've had him for like 3.5 years now. So we've been together for a little bit while, and he's for me really great horse. I love him, and we have done a lot together. And he's my best friend. Um, And I have trained him for horseback archery all the way. They planned to train him for reining, but he didn't like it. It was not his thing. So his owner, she had to sell a horse, and she had two, and she wanted to do reining. The other one liked reining, so she had to sell him. And she was like, horseback archery will be the perfect thing for him. So it was perfect. I could buy him, and we have done like 3 competitions now together. Since we don't have like many competitions at all in the Netherlands, we've only been able to do 3. But every time he's won, so I'm happy. And then I have my new mare. She's a 3.5-year-old Lusitano mare. She was bred in France, and she's really nice. I just saw her, and I was like, James has very severe asthma, which he does well with now at the moment. But it's always difficult, and I was like, I want to have another horse, just to have it a little more easy. And for James, I can't take him to a European Championship in Hungary when it's 30 plus degrees. His lungs wouldn't be able to handle it. So for me, this I think Roomba, my young mare, in the future, this is my dream with her, to take her to all these competitions and to be able to show her to the world how good horseback archery horse she is. With James, I can do this, but just close by and in good weather conditions and this kind of stuff.
Is there any special qualities you're looking for when you choose your horseback archery horse?
Yeah, there's a few different things. I don't think it's really, maybe it's connected to horseback archery, but maybe it's just how I like my horses. I like them to be quite, quite secure. I want them to be like, where they're really confident, because I think also for horseback archery this is really important. and I just find it nice to work with. When when you ask a question, they're like, "Oh, I know this," and sometimes they make the wrong decision, but they are like, "I know already what you want." I like this a lot when working with them, and for me, I of course a good canter is really really awesome.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and just yeah, I used to select just mostly on character. So just an easy character, I think is really important, but also a balanced canter. So basically, I don't want to have it really downhill. I want to have a little bit moving the forward and up, especially because on horseback we stand in the stirrups, we get a little bit our weight forward. So I want to get the horse as much as naturally possible up in the front.
Is that something you really think about when you rent a horse at competitions also?
No, not generally. I just in competitions, I just look for a horse that really. Most of the time, I just ask somebody if they know a horse that would fit me. Since I have a riding style. Generally, I get small ponies. Just people think I fit small ponies. I'm 187 centimeter, 86 centimeters. So, but for some reason, I'm lightweight and I can handle ponies. So I get always fast ponies. But I like to have a good stable horse for competitions. For me, it doesn't really matter. Um, how it's conformated and everything, but for me with my own horses I have these special goals. I want to do this with my own horse, and for this you have to have this kind of balanced canter and you have to train them to do this and stuff. But for horseback archery competitions, I just like the horse to go, when I don't push anything, to go like 14, if possible 16, yeah, possible 16 seconds if not without pushing. And if you push, I want them to go 9, 8, even 7 seconds for the rate. And on the hunt track to be secure and I want to have quite a smart horse, because on the hunt track I want to just show them a few times the track, and in the end, just that they already start to think about, okay, I have to do the track like this, like this, like this. This is what I like for competitions.
Yeah, smart horse for hunt track sounds really nice. Except if you get one that recognize the way home and take the shortcuts.
Yeah, that's generally not a good idea. I've always been lucky to have great horses for competitions, I must say. I've always been blessed with them. But yeah, I also think in competitions you have to really adapt to the horse. I train a lot of horses at home, but in competitions and horses I don't ever try to train them. Of course I still hold them to the same ground values. If I ask them to stand still, they must stand still. They don't move. I ask you to stand still, you stand still. But that's just safety for me. But in the end, I don't try to train them to go a different speed. Horses at competitions, they have been going this speed for their whole life. I don't try to go make them go like within this second. Oh, now you have to do this because I want you to do this.
Yeah, it's interesting. How do you mentally prepare before a competition?
I must say I don't do a lot of it. I think, okay, I had this competition, I'll ride it this time, and I just go to the competition. I generally do have think about, okay, I have the horse this speed, which means I want to shoot around this many arrows. But for me, um I just go with the flow. I'm not really a person that's really really stressed before competitions, or like much stressed. I just, it's a competition. It's, yeah. So I don't really like I don't sit myself down and go. I do, of course, in competition when I'm riding a horse, like through the start check, I do deep breaths. I do think, okay, okay, relax, zone in, what you're going to do, targets. But yeah,
So you never had any problems with competition nerves you had to work with?
in the beginning, I had a little bit more, especially on the hunt tracks, because then you can become like, and you're finished. Um, but yeah, for me, it's always been when I'm on the track, I'm on the track. And I also think it's really about how you practice with the competitioners. For me, of course, I have nerves. The competition, I want to achieve well. I want to shoot my world records. I want to shoot everything well. But for me, I practice myself, so I don't focus only on technique. I focus already. I put a lot of pressure on myself during the training. I always want to shoot fast, and every time I shoot, I want to shoot really, really well. And I don't focus on everything I do. I just focus on shooting well, and then I see, okay, I make these mistakes. I think if you train all the time when you're training and you're focusing fully on what you do, in competitions it will all fall apart because you're only focused on competition, competition, competition. This I think this happens with anybody. I think mostly how you handle the competition nerves and how you make you shoot better or make you shoot shit. I think that's most of the thing that's my mental preparation, just how I train.
Yeah, I think it's good if I mean to train. What Johan, we had this Swedish guy on the episode, and he said, "Train as you fight."
I think it's a similar mindset. For me, I train a lot of my technique, and for me this is really perfect. But if we always focus and if we always try to hold our technique together and everything we do together, when it comes to a fight or when it comes to a competition, your focus won't be on technique, for sure as hell not. If you're really good and you don't care about competitions, you can focus fully on technique. But if you want to shoot well in competitions, you have to be able to still shoot well when your full focus is on the target and when your full focus is on the points.
It's, do you have any special way to keep focus during a run, or your focus just is there because you have the, what you say, mentally conditioned to do it because of your training?
No, I think it's just doing a lot and being able to get this really. It sounds quite hippie, but just get this connection with the target. Just get this kind of full focus with the target, and just be able to get the rest far away. Of course, this doesn't happen with me all times. If somebody's screaming loud, when I'm in my run, I will of course lose focus a little bit. But I think really you have to really get the connection with the target and with the horse, and really be able to take this separately from the rest of the competition.
So pretty much finding the connection with the horse, and then, like a missile in movies, just lock in on the target.
Yeah.
Do you ever have any problems if you get a disappointment during a competition? If you like, I don't think fail is a good word, but you understand what I mean. If it doesn't, if the competition don't go as you want.
I have that a lot, because generally I am even some of the competitions I've won, I was like, shit, I could have done that so much better, and it's a big disappointment for me. But point for me because in my head I know, okay, I can shoot this
Yeah.
many points, and I'm shooting this many. I can do so much better in that situation. I should have done much better. But for me, this has always been, this is life. For me, sometimes it can bring the motivation a little bit down. But in the end, it brings it more up because I know, okay, I can achieve this in competition. I should be able to achieve this totally. But for me, mostly the frustration was a few years because in 2021, for example, before the big competition that year was Gushou Open, because for that there was no competitions due to COVID, I was able to shoot 5 times from horseback before that. So then in the competition, it was so frustrating because I know, okay, if I would have just like 3 weeks of horseback archery, I would have shot so much better. But considering everything, I shot well. But yeah, and these type of frustrations I did have, but in the end they pushed me always the frustration pushed me to be better. Not maybe immediately. Immediately I was like, I want to quit this stupid. No, not like that. Not that fully because sports my life. But at beginning it frustrates you, but in the end it pushes you to go higher and higher.
So it's pretty much when you get a setback, you take it with you home and know what you should train on.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a good mindset. I think it's good. How often do you go to a competition?
I believe now this year I will ride 3 eventing competitions and one smaller one, maybe two. So not so much. Most years it's 3 big competitions maximum, maybe 4. I think believe the most I did was 5 in 1 year. But yeah, no, and the last few years was 2. So it's just for me, I don't go to a lot of competitions just because it costs so much money, it costs so much time. Especially now because the clinic business is going well. If I go away a whole week or whole weekend to international competition, it just doesn't just cost me the cost of the competition. It also costs me the whole weekend of being able to earn money. So that's why I go to less competitions, which is a pity, but yeah.
Competition season in Netherlands, you don't have so many competition because I think if you could go in Netherlands, it would not cost so much.
In the Netherlands we're starting it up now again. For a few years there was none at all, and now I believe we'll have like 2 competitions, 3 competitions, like just one day, just raid track or just tower track competitions. But it used to be, for us, ground is really difficult to find. There's only like a few places where you can do horseback archery, and they have the space to put a full competition track. Because ground prices in the Netherlands are crazy. Uh, so it's really difficult to get a place for a horseback archery track, and then to get enough people for a competition. And you have to put in all the time for organizing it, and then hoping it doesn't rain so the ground gets too wet. All these factors have always made it really difficult. But now, it's getting better and better, and more.
It's good. So you can say that one of the problem that the sport is not so big in Netherlands is because of the ground price and
Yeah, as a hobby, people are doing it a lot, and really, it's becoming quite popular, and we see all the time more and more people watching it and knowing about the sport. Even mainstream horse riding, it's getting more well known. Of course, we are still a small sport. It's not like dressage, but more and more people know of the sport, and especially because I give demos a lot at big competitions, and then people they start to see this a lot as a thing. Oh, the horseback archery, it exists.
Yeah.
But as a sport, like where people go to competitions, it's difficult to make it bigger. It's starting up really now. We have start to have, like, before we were happy if we could get a full team to the Grand Prix, and before that we were even happy if we could get 2 people or 3 people to each stage. It
Yes.
was a rarity for us. Um, but nowadays we have people fighting over the places, so it's it's starting to grow a lot, but still, you know,
So what do you think have made your what you said that the sport is spread in Netherlands now, that it's growing? Is it what you say? Did you have any special plan for get more people to start with the sport, or is it just happy luck?
I started to notice a really big influx after I won the European Championships in 2022. It got a
Oh,
lot on TV and a lot on radio,
yes,
and
yes.
after this, immediately I started to notice, wow, so many people are wanting to do the sport, and really it was like a big jump immediately. The sport was already starting to go up a little bit, but then it became really much more. And last year I did a lot of demonstrations at big like competitions, even like CHIO Rotterdam, which is like one of the bigger dressage and show jumping competitions. It was the selection for the Olympics, last selection place, I believe. It was a big venue, and I gave a demo there. And these things I start to notice that start to really make the sport big as well. These big demos at big venues. Um, but I think mostly actually the biggest jump in people that start to want to do it is just one person knows another person that tells another person, and then they have this table where it's like 5 people interested, and then
Yes.
most I think about it, it's like all the TV and the big demos, but then it's just one person knows another person and knows another person, and
Yes.
it's
It's good. It's good.
Is it more people who have training than you in Netherlands, or you're the only trainer for horseback archery?
we have one other trainer that does it a lot. We have Isette de Kessen. She also gives trainings. Believe not as much as me, but she's also working a lot of it. But I'm the only trainer where you can also rent horses. So I work with these stables together, and you do training with them, and then I was training, and you can rent a horse from them as well. So I'm the only trainer in the Netherlands like this, and the only one that's doing it full professional.
So you pretty much only have trainings at your place where you have the horses, and not so much go home to people and have trainings, or?
I mostly actually give trainings at different locations. So I have 2 stables at the moment I work a lot together with, and I give one training there every month around something like this. So basically, people just they want to do those trainings if they don't have their own horses, or they just are in the neighborhood. And then for the rest, I go every weekend all over the Netherlands. For all over the Netherlands, it's quite easy to say, because for me the farthest drive away is 2 hours.
Ah, nice.
So I can be on the one side of the country and on Saturday, and then Sunday I give a clinic on completely the other side. So it's quite funny, but yeah, this means I can go all over, and I come all over as well.
Then it should be easier to have competitions.
Yeah, yeah. Only then it costs 100,000 euros to buy 1 hectare. So then it has everything, plus and downside. It's a small country, so it's easy to travel, and even for us, it's 9 hours to go to Wojtek's place in Poland, and Kashio is 8-hour drive. Still, we are quite, and there's one place in France where they used to do a lot of Kasai competitions. It's 3 hours away. In the Eifel, there's competition that's 3 hours away as well. But it should be easier, but it's ground is expensive, and Dutch people are not used to traveling a lot. I am, because I go all over, but yeah.
Yeah.
Then your next focus should be to win Euro jackpot, so you can buy your own land with
Yeah, definitely.
an arena with a roof.
It would be awesome. Indoor. Actually, one of the this evening I will go to one of the indoor stables, and it's just like there's no horses there, but I pay a membership every year, and they have 108-meter indoor. So
Oh,
in this I
nice.
train like every month. And it's perfect. You can have like full horseback archery, but on an indoor. It's amazing.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
What are your goals for the future in horseback archery?
For me, it's still it's building this sport bigger. Really, of course, it's my big goal. Like I think everybody's is. And of course, like I said in the beginning, it's still my goal to be able to become so good that I can go to any competition. I don't make mistakes. I win. I'm not this level yet. It must still be a little bit of luck if I win or not. Like there's some other people that are really close to me in scores, and it's always tight now. And I want to be that I can if I don't make a mistake, I will shoot better than everybody else. This is, of course, really difficult goal, and probably I will not reach this in my lifetime, but it would be great.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know. Practice a lot, and then maybe. But yeah, and also I would really like to get the riding level up. Also, really, for me, one of the big goals is to be able to do a hunt track and then do standing still canter at the long shot. For me, this puts in like the classical dressage, historical dressage together with horseback arch, and this would be so cool. Like full canter and then for long shot just stand still canter, because we can only shoot from canter and then shoot 40 arrows at the long shot, 400 points, and then I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, so this is one of my big goals as well.
It's funny. Yes. What do you think about the future for the sport, both in Netherlands and the rest of the world?
I think it's quite uncertain at the moment. I do believe we have a lot of potential in the sport, but we are still, in Dutch we say, in its child shoes. It's still a lot of like basic stuff that needs to be figured out, and there's a lot of people working hard for the sport. I think this really helps it, but there's still some growing pains that we need to grow through, I think.
Yeah.
But I think we have a lot of potential because there are so many people looking at equine sports and they want to have it more positive for the horse. And I think we are one of the most positive sports for the horse because the horse has so much freedom in it. And if the horse doesn't want to do it, bye bye. And so I think this really has a lot of potential. And in the Netherlands, I believe we also have a lot of potential because, like I said, people are looking to do something else with their horse. Generally, people in the Netherlands, they don't want to do just normal dressage anymore. They are looking more and more to do other stuff together with their horse. Like working equitation is also becoming really big, and I think together with this, we can come really up. Like people want to do other stuff with their horses.
Yes. What do you think is the biggest challenge in this sport? Oh, in Netherlands, of course, the ground problem, but in the rest of the world?
I think it's mostly unity. I think we have a lot of people. It's a small sport, and I think we need to really focus together and work together. And also, just our sport is, we in other sports there's a lot more money in it. We are still quite a poor sport, which isn't a bad thing. It also makes it much more relaxed. But for a sport to work and to turn, you really need to have big prize money and big stuff. And I think also the thing that holds us back sport-wise, it's just that our horseback archery horse is worth as much as a horse that can't do horseback archery. Um, and I think I look at all the other sports and I see the really big money and the really big values come from the really high level horses and the really expensive horses. They get sold for a lot of money, and then people, and this drives the sport, which is a bad thing and a good thing at the same time. But I think to have this, and this would really build the future, because then you can see already that people are starting to focus on this more. And I think also it just needs time. We just need time to grow like we are going, and yeah.
Yeah, it would be interesting with the price of the horseback archery horses because it's going to be way more balanced.
Yeah. And so nowadays, in competition right now, if I get a horse that doesn't know horseback archery, within 1 month you can train it so it's a high level competitive horseback archery horse. If it's a good horse that's suited well for it, you can win competitions with it. And at this moment, this also really brings down the value of our horseback archery horse, because there's not much riding technicality that the horse really needs to know. People don't think, okay, I want to do horseback archery, I want to do it with my own horse. I will buy this really good horse that somebody has trained for the sport, and I'll put some money into it so I can have like this really nice time. People don't do this. And in other sports, when I check other professionals and I ask them, this is what brings money into the sport. Like these people that want to have a nice horse for the sport so they can just easily practice the sport and just have a fun time. And for us right now, it's such a basic thing that the horses need to know. This is also why I think about the standing still canter, because if you can train horses to do this, it's putting so much more. You can shoot so much more points on the hunt track. People want to think, okay, I want to have a horse that can do this. So I will ask this trainer if he has any horses like this for sale, and this start to make it more for horse sport instead of just we ride a horse and we shoot arrows.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for our listener that want to start this sport?
I think just find yourself a good trainer and start practicing, and really do it safely, of course. Don't shoot people, don't kill horses. Generally, is a good idea. Um, and I think really just start to practice and start to see how it works, and get yourself a good trainer. Go to international trainers, look at other people's videos, and look at your own video yourself and watch it back and see how it compares to people that you want to shoot like. See this, and I think that's a big thing, and just go international and see other people.
wasn't it Hannah, Johan, that said, train without a trainer is a perfect way to get good at your bad skills.
Yeah, it was from Christopher originally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I definitely think, I was doing a lot of practice in the Netherlands. We didn't have any trainers at least that could help me a lot. So I was just practicing at home in the backyard, and I was videoing myself every day to be able to see if I started making mistakes. Because if you make these small mistakes one day, it gets ingrained into the pattern, and it just one day it becomes worse and worse and worse, and you start doing more and more. That's why I think if you train at home, if you train by yourself, video yourself every time you shoot and just watch it back and think, okay, am I making any big mistakes? Because in the beginning you won't feel it. In the end, right now, when I make a mistake, I will immediately feel like, oh shit, why did I do that? I can shoot much better, or I don't have to do that stupid stuff. But in the beginning, you don't feel it. You have to start to get the feeling first. And therefore, it really helps to get the video, because then you can watch it back and say, oh, that was what I was doing. That's why I was shooting all over and not in the center.
Did you realize the importance of the release before you went to training for Christoph?
Yeah, I was. For me, it was really the back tension is one of the biggest focus in horseback archery. So really, I think the release is one of the most important stuff, because that's the only part where you can actually influence how the arrow flies, the release, and how you hold the bow at that moment. But for me, yeah, the release is of course really important, and this has been from the beginning.
Do you realize the importance of it before you go to a trainer when you were standing home in the backyard and practicing?
I did of course realize it. At the beginning, of course, I was snap shooting like all people. I did like this pew pew and then letting it go. But I got drilled so much by Christoph to not do that, so it was
Yeah, okay.
impossible to do that. Nowadays it's impossible for me to short throw, because I got to hear so many times, one good thing, you cannot get worse, and do push-ups on horseback. This. I don't do short throw anymore, otherwise I get flashbacks.
Yeah. How many hours each day do you practice for your own today?
I try to practice now again every day, and I do like 100 hours, like half an hour. Before, like this has only been like half a month I've been doing this. Before, I used to practice 2 times every month at most, and horseback 1 time every month. So before I wasn't practicing as much, because after all you can sometimes lose it. I lost a little bit of my motivation, with politic drama in the sport. For me, I was like, I like the sport, but you can lose a little bit of motivation. But now it's becoming back again, and I'm really happy about it, to be back on this train of training a lot, and just like 2 times. I try to train 2 times on horseback every week, and get this really up, because I start to feel okay, and now I start to do again what I want to do.
The motivation comes back with the sunlight.
Yeah, but actually, I've been training that much for like a few years. People are always like, when they ask me at competitions, how much do I train? I was like, yeah, I train like once a month, and they're like, how do you? But yeah, I'm lucky sometimes, I think. But yeah, a bit- I lost the motivation for like a few years. I never lost the motivation for the sport, of course. The sport is my life. But to really train and to push myself all the time, to always train, after work when it's late and it's starting to get dark, to just practice for half an hour of like 30-meter shooting. I lost the motivation for that stuff, for to always search for the improvement. I did search for it, but it felt so endless, and now for some reason it's back. So I'm really happy.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you change your practice routine during the season? I don't know how much winter you got in Netherlands, but like in Sweden, we have at least if you live quite up in Sweden, you have a bit problem during the winter because it's so much snow everywhere and cold.
We generally just have a lot of mud.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but
In the winter, it doesn't get much more difficult for us to practice, because in the summer, it's also really wet. So for us, that's why it's also difficult to build tracks, because the ground is, fields. You have to almost have a sand track to be able to have to be sure that you can have a competition. So for me, the training, it's a lot just in arenas. But we have, for example, at my at James his place, we have it's met my aunts and uncles, and they have a ebb and flow arena, so they can control the water level. So if it rains more, it doesn't matter. So I can still train. But yeah, in the winter you are training a lot more in shit weather. Yeah.
But it's no problem with the temperature, that it's getting cold in the winter or some.
I believe like yesterday it was quite cold. It was -2, -3 during the day. That's for us is really cold.
yeah.
Do you hear that, Linda?
Yes.
I would never be able. For me already, I like the warmth. I can handle 30 plus. I can't handle like -5. I would be dying. So I'm really happy to live not in Sweden.
So
Yeah.
you don't have the motivation that the Finnish team have.
No, definitely. I see them practicing like with frozen fingers. I'm like in -20. I'm like, okay, that's great. But I was like, not for yeah. Cold weather and me don't get along.
Actually, we yesterday I took the horse into the stable in the evening. It was -15, and Isabel was actually out practicing, and she was very happy because in Christmas gift we gave her gloves that get warm through a battery. So she come inside and was like, "Yeah, the gloves work. My hands are not stiff."
That's perfect. Yeah, that's a different world. In the Netherlands, people start complaining about how cold it is when it's 5 degrees. Yeah, actually, we have a nice climate for horseback archery. I think just a little bit wet sometimes, but yeah, for the rest, it's quite nice.
It's good. It's good.
You said you're practicing the groundwork with the shooting at 30 meters. It's not like you standing 8 or 10 meter from the target. You always do the 30 meter.
It depends. I used to be only I shot only in my backyard. I couldn't shoot at. Right now, I have my horse at my uncle and an uncle, so I can do just the arena is free, and I can just do whatever I want. So I can shoot 40, 50 meters even if I want, or just in the field I can shoot 100 meters. But before I didn't have that possibility, and the stables I used to board that were always really busy, so I could only train in the backyard, like a lot of ground archery. And my backyard is Netherlands, small, so it's 5 meters. So I used to be able to only train 5 meters, and that was, you can get your technique can get nice, but you start to see what your technique does on longer distance. Um, so that's why nowadays I try to train. I train from 15 to 30 meters, and if I start to shoot like this big group from 30, I will go further and further and further.
Yeah, interesting. What kind of bow and arrows do you prefer to use?
I always use the Raptors since 2018. I started shooting with the Simon's Bow Company Raptors. I think many people know this brand. He's a Dutch bow maker. He's a good friend of mine. He's a really great guy. And for me, these are the best bows. I shot with them so much, and I tried so many other bows. And for me, always I come back to the Raptors, and always I prefer them. They are, and for me, they are really perfect because they are so fast. They're faster than any other brand, but they don't do stability. A lot of bows, they shoot quite fast. I haven't found anyone that shot as fast as a Raptor. When you test them, actually the speed, it can feel fast, but not as fast. And they lose stability. The limbs go all over. And for me, I like to have the limbs really stable because on horseback, especially, you need stable limbs because otherwise the shot generally has a lot more space to go everywhere. And with my bows, they are really stable. So it wants to keep the arrow straight. And with other bows that are really flimsy, if you make a little mistake, the bow actually will magnify it. The Raptor actually pulls it back because it's so stable. The string will get straightened again. It's weird it's difficult to explain this without having the bow in my hands. But this is for me what's really important about the Raptor, and of course it still draws really smoothly as well. That's why I always shot with the Raptor. And now I have a carbon Raptor, which is even cooler.
Yeah, okay. What poundage do you use?
I have a few different ones. I have many bows, but the one I use mostly in competition is 34. My full draw it's around 48. I always shot quite heavily from the beginning. When I was 15, I was shooting 37, which was quite a lot. But when you shoot 500 arrows every day, it felt like nothing to me. But if you stop practicing at that age, then 37 is a lot of poundage. Um, and I now again have one 37 pounder I use a lot for training as well. And I just got my new one. I just for fun, that's 55, which is too much for me at the moment, but it's fun to shoot.
Is it any reason that you go so high on the poundage? Otherwise, I hear a lot of people going around 25, under 30 at least.
For me, it never made sense. I came from normal archery as well, and if you have good technique, it's better always to shoot the poundage you can shoot, not just low, low, low. If you go low, and you go below what you can actually shoot and below what is meant for you poundage wise, your technique will get all over the place. If you shoot with a heavy bow, your release will be much better. That's why in Olympic archery they shoot with 55 pounds. They shoot with needles. These thin arrows. They don't need the high poundage to shoot 60 meters with these thin arrows. They shoot high poundage because it makes a much cleaner technique and because it pushes the body much more stabilized. So that's why I think it's always good to shoot the poundage if you can shoot a 30-pound bow, why not shoot it? If you can shoot a 35 or 40, for me, I can't speed shoot a 40-pounder at 28. I can shoot it for foot. I'm growing 32 inches, so my bows get more heavy than they are at 28. So that's why I always try to shoot poundage. If I can draw a 34-pounder easily and shoot fast, why not? Light poundage for me, it's nice to change something, but I think that an arrow flies much better with a little bit heavier bow, and it shoots. The shooting experience for me also, I like the feeling more. I like to have a. That's why I have a 55-pounder, not because I can shoot it from horseback well, because I like to have the feeling of the shot really pulling away and just getting this. It just feels so much different, and you can shoot heavier arrows, which have less trouble with the wind. So yeah.
It's interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one at the moment. Mihai also used to shoot a little bit heavier, but he drew really short, so in the end it didn't end up to being so heavy. But I think I'm one of the few that shoots these poundages at the moment.
But can it be like it's not so many horseback archers who actually train every day or at least several days a week? So if you don't train as often, then you lose your technique and then it's difficult to keep a good technique in a heavier bow. Can it be like a bit of explanation?
Yeah, it's a good point. I was already shooting also 34. This bow I had for last year, and last year I was shooting twice a month, and I could also handle it. But I
think you have been practicing so much, so your muscle memory is good to keep a good technique.
I think that's definitely it's mostly about technique more than it is muscle strength. If you get the good technique down, you can handle. I'm not a strong person. I'm very skinny. I'm not like a tough guy. But I can easily handle these bows. For me, 55 is on the edge, but I can handle 40. I can shoot easily. Also 37. For me, it's easy to shoot fast. And my full draw is 52, I believe, which isn't low poundage at all. But for me, it doesn't feel like a lot because you start to use the body, and if you use the body how it's meant, it's not that much poundage.
But you would still say that it's preferably when you start with the sport, you start with low poundage and work yourself up when you learn the technique.
Yeah, definitely. My students, the bows I have for my beginners are 18 pounds. So I don't give them 50 pounds. No, definitely. I still always advise people to start with low poundage to get a good technique, of course. Yeah, just shoot with it. It would be quite funny though. You imagine the people like.
You give them a bow on 50 pounds, and if they fail with the techniques that you do push-ups now, you punish them if they shoot with a good technique of 50 pounds.
Stronger.
Yeah.
That would be really funny. But yeah. So yeah, no, it's not like I think that heavier poundage are for everybody, but I see so many people and they train themselves to like the feeling of having an elastic in your hand. Shooting a bow shouldn't feel like you hold no power. You should feel a little bit something on your finger because this gets the better release. And it's one of the reasons I think many horseback archers have this release where they release and then they go back. I think we need to have some tension on the fingers to be able to get this release immediately from the back muscles.
Johan, do you have any more questions?
No, I'm just pretty much sorting everything out in my head. It's a lot of information and it's really interesting, everything.
Yeah. Then Siem, I wonder, what is your best horseback archery memory?
For me, it was the first competition with my own horse. Of course, the European Championship with Husky, which is a horse I really love, and he's from Hantayo in France. And winning the European Championship with him was really nice. And the last European Championships, and going to South Africa to give a clinic there together with my good friend Jacques, and to ride a competition there on his horse was also really good memories. But it's the most special when you've worked together with your horse for like such a long time to train him for this sport, and then I did a Kasai competition with him for the first time, and to ride this competition and it felt so awesome to be able to shoot from him really good and to get this feeling together on the track. That was really one of my most favorite memories.
It sounds really great. It's a special feeling when you have your own horse and you have this connection to it and you work together with your own horse.
Definitely.
Well, Siem, I'm so grateful that you wanted to join us during this episode in our podcast. It has been a pleasure to listen to your stories and your thoughts about the sport and the future. And I'm really hope that you get a wonderful season because now it's the beginning of the year and I think soon all the competition starts for the season. So really huge thank you.
Yeah, big thanks.
I thank you guys so much for having me. It was I felt very honored that you asked me to come on the podcast. And yeah, thank you guys so much. I had a great time.
Yeah, thank you. Then I say to all the listeners that next episode will be on Swedish and the episode after English again. And please share our episodes and our podcast. And see you next time.
And put some stars on Spotify.
Yes, stars on Spotify also. Good there, Johan. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.